The realization that you can walk through a room full of people who want to tear you down and remain completely untouched is perhaps the most liberating discovery a human being can ever make. We often spend our lives trying to manage the behavior of others. We try to be nicer so they won't be mean. We try to be more successful so they will respect us. We try to explain ourselves so they will understand us. But Stoicism teaches us that this is a losing game. It is a form of slavery where you have handed the keys to your internal peace to the most unstable and unkind people in your life. There is one specific shift in your perspective and one specific action you must take that will change the dynamic forever. Once you do this, toxic people will lose their ability to disrespect you because their opinions will no longer have a place to land. To understand how to stop disrespect, we have to look at what disrespect actually is. Most people think disrespect is something someone does to you. The Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, argued that disrespect is actually a judgment you make about someone else's behavior. If someone calls you a name and you do not care, have you been disrespected? In your own mind, the answer is no. You only feel disrespected when you believe that the other person's words have some sort of power over your worth. The one thing you must do to end this cycle is to withdraw your consent to be hurt. You must make a firm, one-time decision that your character and your peace of mind are completely independent of how other people treat you. This sounds simple, but it is the most difficult and powerful thing a person can do. Marcus Aurelius began his day with a very specific mental exercise. He would tell himself that the people he was about to meet would be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. He didn't say this because he was a pessimist. He said it because he wanted to remove the element of surprise. Toxic people thrive on your surprise and your emotional reaction. When someone treats you poorly and you act shocked or hurt, you are giving them exactly what they want. You are confirming that their behavior has the power to move you. Marcus Aurelius realized that these people behave this way because they do not know the difference between good and evil. They are spiritually blind. Once you realize that a toxic person is acting out of their own internal confusion and pain, their disrespect stops feeling like a personal attack and starts feeling like a symptom of their own disease. You wouldn't be offended if a person with a broken leg couldn't run a race with you. Why would you be offended if a person with a broken character couldn't treat you with kindness? Epictetus, who was born a slave and lived through physical abuse, taught that every situation has two handles. One handle is the reason why the situation is bad, and the other handle is the reason why you can bear it. When a toxic person insults you, you can pick it up by the handle of the insult and feel miserable. Or you can pick it up by the handle of your own resilience. You can choose to see the interaction as a training ground for your patience. The moment you decide that a toxic person is actually a sparring partner sent by the universe to help you strengthen your soul, they lose their power. They are no longer a villain in your story. They are a tool for your growth. This is the shift that makes you untouchable. You are no longer reacting to them. You are using them. When we talk about toxic people, we are often talking about individuals who use gaslighting, manipulation, or constant criticism to keep others off balance. They want to see you defend yourself. They want to see you get angry. In the Stoic tradition, anger is considered a temporary madness. Seneca wrote extensively about this. He noted that anger is the most hideous and frenzied of all emotions. When you get angry at a toxic person, you have lost. You have allowed their poison to enter your system. The one thing you must do is to practice a form of radical indifference. This is not the same as being a doormat. A doormat is someone who lets people walk over them because they are afraid. A Stoic is someone who lets people say what they want because they are so grounded in their own reality that the words simply don't matter. In the ancient texts, there is a recurring theme of the citadel of the mind. Your mind is a fortress. The only way someone can get inside and cause chaos is if you open the gate and let them in. Toxic people spend their time throwing rocks at the walls of your fortress. Most of us make the mistake of running outside to try and stop them from throwing rocks. We yell at them, we try to reason with them, or we throw rocks back. But the master of Stoicism stays inside the citadel. They realize that as long as the gates are closed, the rocks can't do any damage. The rocks only hurt if you decide to go outside and stand in their path. To never be disrespected again, you must simply stop going outside to meet the toxicity. You stay in your peace, you stay in your logic, and you let the other person exhaust themselves against the walls of your indifference. Think about a time when someone tried to provoke you. Maybe it was a coworker taking credit for your work, or a family member making a passive-aggressive comment about your life choices. In that moment, your ego wants to jump in and defend itself. Your ego wants to say that this isn't fair. But fairness is an external concept that you cannot control. The only thing you can control is your response. If you respond with silence or a calm, bored acknowledgement, the toxic person is denied the emotional hit they were looking for. They wanted a fire, and you gave them no oxygen. Eventually, they will stop trying to burn you because it's no longer rewarding for them. They will look for a more reactive target. This is how you win without ever raising your voice. There is a story about the philosopher Cato the Younger, who was once struck in the face while at the public baths. Instead of getting angry or demanding an apology, he simply ignored it. Later, when the man who struck him came to apologize, Cato said that he didn't even remember being hit. This is the ultimate level of Stoic power. It isn't just about controlling your anger. It's about reaching a state where the disrespect doesn't even register as an event worth remembering. When you reach this level, you aren't trying to be strong. You simply are strong because your self-worth is rooted in your own virtue, not in the fleeting opinions of others. The toxic person often relies on your need for their approval. This is the hook they use to drag you into their drama. We have been conditioned to want people to like us. We want to be seen as good, smart, and capable. A toxic person senses this need and uses it against you. They will withhold their approval or give you backhanded compliments to keep you chasing after them. The Stoic solution is to realize that the approval of a person who lacks character is actually an insult in itself. If a dishonest person thinks you are great, you should probably be worried about your own integrity. Marcus Aurelius used to ask himself why he cared about the praise or criticism of people who couldn't even satisfy themselves. If they are miserable and confused in their own lives, why would their opinion of your life carry any weight? To implement this one thing, you must stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Toxic people use your explanations as ammunition. They listen to your reasons so they can find holes in them. They look for your vulnerabilities so they can exploit them. Stoic philosophy teaches us that your character is your own business. You do not owe anyone an explanation for being who you are. When you stop explaining, you reclaim your power. You become a mystery to the toxic person. They can no longer map out your triggers because you have stopped giving them the coordinates. Your silence is a boundary that they cannot cross. Seneca once said that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. When a toxic person treats you with disrespect, the most powerful thing you can do is to remain a person of high character. If they are loud, you be quiet. If they are chaotic, you be calm. If they are cruel, you be indifferent. By doing this, you create a mirror. The more they scream and tilt at windmills, the more obvious their own instability becomes to everyone around them, including themselves. You don't have to point out that they are being toxic. Your calm behavior does it for you. This is the once-and-for-all action. You decide that your standard of behavior is set by your own principles, not by the provocations of the person standing in front of you. In modern life, we see this play out on social media and in digital spaces constantly. People are desperate for attention and will use outrage to get it. They will say the most disrespectful things just to see if they can get a rise out of you. If you reply with a long, angry paragraph, they have won. You have spent your time and energy on them. If you block them or simply don't look at the comment, you have won. You have decided that your time is too valuable to be spent on someone else's dysfunction. This is the practical application of the Stoic citadel. You decide who gets past the gate. If someone brings nothing but trash to your door, you don't have to open it. You can just let the trash sit on the sidewalk until the wind blows it away. It is also important to recognize that being stoic doesn't mean you don't take action. If a toxic person is truly damaging your life or your career, you can take steps to remove them or protect yourself legally and professionally. But the Stoic does this with a cold, clear mind. They don't do it out of hatred or a desire for revenge. They do it the same way they would remove a thorn from their foot. The thorn isn't evil, but it doesn't belong in the foot. You remove it because it is the logical thing to do for your own health. When you act from logic instead of emotion, you are far more effective. You can make decisions that protect your interests without losing your soul in the process. The one thing you must do once and for all is to kill your own ego. The ego is the part of you that feels disrespected. The ego is the part of you that wants to be right and wants to be seen as superior. If you can diminish the ego, you become invulnerable. When someone insults a Stoic, the Stoic might even agree with them. Epictetus famously said that if someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself against the claims. Instead, say that the person must not know your other faults. Otherwise, they would have mentioned those too. This level of humility and self-awareness completely disarms a toxic person. You cannot insult someone who is already comfortable with their own flaws and doesn't need your validation. You must realize that the toxic person is often in a state of deep suffering. Their behavior is a reflection of their own internal hell. When you see them through this lens of Stoic compassion, it becomes impossible to feel disrespected. You don't feel disrespected by a crying infant or a barking dog. You recognize that they are simply acting according to their nature and their current state of distress. The toxic person is no different. They are a person who has lost control of their own mind and their own emotions. Once you see this clearly, the only thing you will feel for them is a distant, cool pity. And pity is the opposite of being disrespected. The beauty of this approach is that it is entirely within your control. You don't have to wait for the toxic person to change. You don't have to wait for them to apologize or to see the error of their ways. They might never change. They might be toxic until the day they die, but that doesn't matter. Your peace is not dependent on their evolution. You have done the one thing that matters. You have decoupled your happiness from their behavior. You have decided that you are the only person who gets to decide your worth. This commitment to internal sovereignty is what the ancient Stoics called autarkeia, or self-sufficiency. It is the state of being so complete within yourself that external events, whether they are the loss of money, the loss of reputation, or the insults of a foolish person, cannot diminish you. It is like being a mountain. People can climb the mountain, they can curse the mountain, or they can try to dig holes in the mountain. But the mountain remains. It doesn't move because of what people think of it. It just is. You must become the mountain in your own life. When you start living this way, you will notice a strange thing happens. People actually start to respect you more, even the toxic ones. They might not like you, and they might still try to poke at you, but they will recognize that you have something they don't, a core of iron. People are naturally drawn to and intimidated by those who cannot be manipulated. By refusing to be disrespected, you have actually earned the highest form of respect, which is the respect of someone who knows they cannot break you. But by that point, you won't even care about their respect anymore. You will be too busy enjoying the quiet, steady strength of your own mind. To wrap this up, remember that the power to be hurt lies entirely in your own judgment. If you don't feel hurt, you haven't been. If you don't feel disrespected, the disrespect doesn't exist. It is a ghost that disappears the moment you stop believing in it. Do this once. Decide today that you are no longer available for drama. Decide that your peace is non-negotiable. Withdraw your emotional investment from toxic people and put it back into your own growth and your own virtue. This is the only way to live a truly free life. You are the architect of your own character and the guardian of your own peace. Don't give that power away ever again. The words of others are just vibrations in the air. They only have meaning if you give it to them. Stop giving them meaning, and you will find that you have become the master of your own world. This is the path of the Stoic, and it is the path to a life where no one can ever truly disrespect you again.